The snow began falling just as Emma reached the corner cafe, each flake drifting down like a quiet reminder that the year was almost over. Christmas lights shimmered in the windows, warm and inviting, as if they belonged to a different world, one where people arrived hand in hand, where laughter came easily, where no one had to pretend they weren't afraid of being alone. Emma paused outside, her breath fogging the glass. She studied her reflection carefully. She had tried tonight. Her hair was neatly pinned, her coat freshly pressed, her lipstick applied with the kind of care reserved for moments that mattered. Still, the woman staring back at her looked tired. Hope, she'd learned, had weight. She stepped inside. The cafe was full, but not crowded. Soft music, the smell of cinnamon, the gentle clink of cups. A Christmas tree stood near the counter, decorated with handmade ornaments and tiny golden lights. Emma chose a table by the window, placing her purse carefully at her feet. She folded her hands together, then unfolded them again. Her phone buzzed. "Mark. On my way." She replied with a polite smile emoji, then immediately wished she hadn't. The waitress came by, and Emma ordered tea, her voice barely louder than the music. As she waited, she watched the world outside, parents tugging children through the snow, couples laughing under shared umbrellas. She wondered when it had become so hard to believe that love might find her too. The bell above the door rang. Emma looked up instantly. Mark entered with confidence, shaking snow from his coat. His eyes scanned the room, then paused on her. Something shifted in his expression, hesitation, then disappointment, quickly masked. "You're Emma?" he asked. "Yes," she said, standing politely. They sat. The conversation never quite found its footing. Mark asked about her work, nodded at her answers, but his gaze kept drifting, toward the door, his phone, anything but her. Emma tried anyway. She talked about her love for baking during the holidays, how she volunteered at the local library, how she believed kindness mattered. Mark smiled thinly. After a few minutes, he leaned back and sighed. "I should be honest." Emma's fingers tightened around her cup. "I don't think this is going to work," he said. "You're nice, but not really what I expected." "What were you expecting?" she asked quietly. He shrugged. "Different. That was all." He stood, already finished. "I hope you don't take this personally." But she always did. Emma remained seated as he left, the bell chiming too loudly behind him. She felt exposed, as if everyone could see the rejection resting on her shoulders. The waitress approached, offering a sympathetic smile Emma couldn't return. Outside, the cold hit her instantly. Snow dampened her hair, melting against her cheeks like tears she refused to cry yet. She walked without direction, the city glowing and laughing around her, until her feet carried her to the park. A massive Christmas tree stood at its center, lights twinkling proudly. Emma sat on a bench beneath it, her hands trembling. "I tried," she whispered to the snow-covered ground. "I really tried." Her breath shook as the tears finally came. She felt small, forgotten. I guess some people just aren't meant to be chosen. Behind her, the snow crunched softly, small footsteps, unnoticed for now. "Excuse me, are you crying?" The voice was small but clear, cutting gently through the quiet snowfall. Emma lifted her head, startled. Two little girls stood a few steps away, their boots half buried in snow. They were identical in every way, matching red coats trimmed with white fur, curls tucked beneath woolen hats, cheeks flushed pink from the cold. One held a candy cane like a precious treasure. The other clutched a single mitten, its hair dangling forgotten from her pocket. Emma quickly wiped her face. "Oh, no, I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite work. The girls studied her closely, their expressions serious in a way only children could manage. "You're not fine," the one with the mitten declared. "Your eyes are leaking." The other nodded solemnly. "That happens when my dad thinks we're asleep." Emma let out a soft, broken laugh. Sometimes grown-ups cry too. The girls seemed to accept this as an important truth. Before Emma could say more, hurried footsteps approached. A man appeared, breath visible in the cold air, his face etched with worry. "Girls," he said firmly but gently, "I told you not to walk off." "We didn't walk off," the candy cane girl replied. "We were led." "Led where?" he asked. She pointed at Emma. To her. The man looked at Emma, confused. "I'm so sorry. They're not supposed to talk to strangers." "It's okay," Emma said softly. They were just checking on me. The girls stepped closer, completely unafraid. One reached out and touched Emma's sleeve. You're sad, she said. Sad people need moms. Emma's breath caught. That's not. The man started, then stopped when the second girl added, will you be our mom? The world seemed to tilt. Emma stared at them, her heart pounding. I think you have the wrong person, she said gently. I'm not anyone's mom. The man crouched beside them, his voice quiet but strained. Sweethearts, you know mommy isn't coming back. The girls' faces fell only for a moment. But she sent her, one whispered, pointing again at Emma. She smells warm. Emma swallowed hard. I'm Daniel, the man said, standing and offering a tentative smile. Their mother passed away 2 Christmases ago. They've been searching for pieces of her ever since. I'm Emma, she replied, her voice barely steady. Snow fell between them, slow and heavy, wrapping the moment in silence. The girls grabbed Emma's hands, small, warm, trusting. Can you stay with us for a little while? One asked. Just until we're not sad. Emma looked at Daniel. He hesitated, then nodded. If you don't mind, he said quietly. Emma squeezed the girl's hands, tears returning, not from pain this time, but from something fragile and unfamiliar. I can stay, she said. Above them, the Christmas lights shimmered brighter, as if the night itself had been listening. The bakery glowed like a sanctuary against the cold, its windows fogged with warmth and laughter. Emma hesitated at the door, but the twins tugged her inside with determined hands, as if afraid she might disappear if they let go. Bells chimed overhead, and the air wrapped around them, sweet with vanilla, butter, and cinnamon. This place smells like home, one of the girls declared. Emma smiled, surprised at how much that word stirred something deep inside her. They crowded into a corner booth. The twins climbed onto the seat beside Emma, pressing close. Daniel ordered hot chocolate for them and tea for Emma, watching her with quiet curiosity. She listened intently as the girls spoke, about school projects, lost teeth, and how their house felt too big since their mom was gone. She used to sing when it snowed, one whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened. She wasn't very good, he said gently. But she loved it. Emma reached for a napkin, dabbing cocoa from a small chin. Bad singing is sometimes the best kind, she said. The twins giggled. As the days turned into weeks, the park bench meeting became routine. Baking afternoons followed. Emma taught them how to shape cookies into stars, how to sprinkle just enough sugar without wasting joy. They insisted she read bedtime stories, her voice steady and soothing in the quiet house. You read like mom, one said one night. Emma paused, heart racing. I don't want to replace her, she said softly. You're not, the girl replied simply. You're just you. Daniel watched from the doorway, emotion flickering across his face. He hadn't realized how heavy the silence had been until Emma filled it, not loudly, not forcefully, but with presence. One evening, while the twins slept, Daniel and Emma sat by the tree. They chose you, he said. Emma shook her head. They needed someone, and you needed them, he replied gently. She smiled, tears in her eyes. I've been rejected my whole life. I thought that meant something was wrong with me. Daniel met her gaze. Maybe it just meant the right people hadn't found you yet. Christmas Eve arrived quietly. Snow fell again, familiar and kind this time. They stood together beneath the same tree in the park where everything began. The twins squeezed Emma's hands. Will you stay? One asked, voice trembling. Daniel took a breath, his voice steady but vulnerable. I can't promise perfection, but I can promise honesty and love. Would you like to be part of our family? Emma's tears fell freely now, but they were different, lighter. Yes, she whispered, and in that moment, 4 hearts stitched themselves together, not by fate alone, but by choice. Christmas morning arrived quietly, as if the world itself didn't want to interrupt the miracle unfolding inside the house. Pale winter light slipped through the curtains, dusting the room in gold. Emma lay awake for a moment, listening, not to silence, but to soft breathing, distant footsteps, and the faint crackle of warmth from the heater. It was a sound she had never woken to before. Then came the giggles. The bedroom door burst open, and 2 small bodies launched themselves onto the bed. Merry Christmas, Mom, the twins shouted in perfect unison. Emma laughed, pulling them close as tears filled her eyes. The word still felt new, fragile, but it fit. She pressed her face into their hair, breathing them in like a promise she never knew she was allowed to make. In the kitchen, Daniel stood quietly, watching the scene unfold. He hadn't planned this. None of them had, but somehow, the house felt complete for the first time in years. The tree shimmered in the corner, its lights reflecting off ornaments the twins had carefully hung with Emma's help, some crooked, some too low, all perfect. They gathered around the tree, passing out presents wrapped in uneven paper and too much tape. The twins tore into theirs with delight, squealing over small things, a coloring set, matching scarves, a stuffed bear with a crooked smile. "For you," one said, handing Emma a small box. Inside was a simple ornament, 4 stick figures holding hands beneath a star. Family was written in careful, uneven letters. Emma covered her mouth. "It's beautiful." Daniel cleared his throat. They insisted. Breakfast followed. Burnt toast, 2 sweet cocoa, and laughter that lingered in the air like music. Later, they bundled up and walked to the park. Snow crunched beneath their boots as they stood beneath the same Christmas tree where Emma had once cried alone. She looked up at the lights, remembering the ache, the loneliness, the belief that she was unchosen. She wasn't. Daniel squeezed her hand. "Funny how things work out." Emma smiled, watching the twins spin beneath the falling snow. "Maybe some people aren't rejected," she said softly. "They're just being saved for the right moment." As church bells rang in the distance, Emma realized something profound. Love hadn't arrived when she begged for it. It arrived when she was ready to give it. And that Christmas, Emma wasn't alone. She was home. Christmas tree sparkles.